11 opposed. Motion fails. For the minutes. Seeing no other minutes, I'll now entertain discussion. Further discussion on the proposed budget. Back to the main motion. Seeing none now, I'll try your minds. All those in favor of the budget, please signify by saying aye.
Would you clarify, we are now discussing the entire budget?
Yes.
I think we want to allow opportunity for us to make the money.
I asked for that, but you can raise your hand.
Yes, I do.
Thank you, guys. Pleasure.
Thank you, Your Honor. I know that you did expect I would have some remarks, so I'd be very pleased if you would allow me to make them.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
You did raise your hand.
Yes, I did raise my hand. I'm sorry you didn't see it right away. This has been an interesting budget process. We got the budget early. We got it on March 6th. There was a public hearing at which 4 people spoke. They're probably here this evening, too. There were 6 ad hoc committee meetings that department heads didn't attend. It was the Dina show, and our former finance director really did a first-rate job presenting a budget, and it's a budget that's not much different than the budget that I voted against last year, but she did a good job. What bothers me is that the budget process this year was really set at ramming speed. It was 14 days and we were done. And that was without the benefit of having the first quarter sales and income tax figures from the state, without seeing what changes the Appropriations Committee might make to the governor's proposed budget on April 20th. I know we always use the governor's budget figures, but this year there ought to be alarm bells for us with her budget. Never mind that the Democrats have a veto-proof majority in Hartford. There isn't any Republican support for the governor's budget either. In fact, I think that Sal Pascarella and myself are the only 2 people in Danbury who support the governor's budget. You do, Your Honor. That's wonderful. So our city's general fund budget is really kind of built on quicksand, and we might as well have used a Ouija board and maybe saved some of the paper that it was printed on. But it's very likely that there will be wholesale changes in 90 days that we will revisit as a council. And I know that Republicans on the council will ignore all of these warning signs and will rubber stamp the mayor's budget proposal, even though by charter, I believe we have until May 15th. I know someone said May 1st, but I think by charter we have until May 15th to approve or reject it. In fact, I think that some members of the council will even rise to claim that this is the best budget that has ever been presented in the 300-year history of our city. But it's not the best budget. It has shortcomings, it has waste, and it has duplication. And especially when it concerns the legislative body, the Common Council, it is underfunded. $32,872 isn't adequate to serve the public or the 21 members who are elected to the council. Do you want to know what your council is doing? Do you want to know when the next constituents meeting is? Do you want to know how to reach your council member? Well, you can call the Common Council office at 797-4514, and someone will assist you 10.5 hours a week. Now, if you miss that vote, you can actually go online to the city website and try to find the information that you need. Now, if you don't have any internet access and you're a member of the public, you can dial up 311, which is our new call center, and they will be happy to refer you to the closed Common Council office to seek that information. But very seriously, a city budget shows what our priorities are, and I think it's obvious in this budget that the legislative body, the Common Council itself, or the city of Danbury is not a priority. It isn't. We're giving the Ives Center for the Performing Arts $50,000 in transition funding to start their new season, $50,000. We're paying $46,000 to be members of CCM, the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities. We're giving Dan Bartram a $146,000 tax break for his new dormitory at 30 Crosby Street. And yet, when in the Government One ad hoc committee, Councilman Saudi proposed making that part-time position full-time, it was voted down 3-2. What this says, really very loud and clear, is that when you have a strong mayor to set policy and a very well-run call center for the public, well, the Common Council just really isn't important at all. In fact, it's superfluous. And maybe what we need to do is revisit our city charter and eliminate it altogether. I'm also disappointed in the mayor's failure to keep his kind of State of the City commitment about public access broadcasting. Now, I know, Your Honor, you promised that we would have public access broadcasting of council meetings and land use meetings, I believe. You said by March, and it's April. And we're adopting our city budget, and Danbury's 8 hours of broadcasting on the government access channel 24 aren't being used. And you may be secretly hard at work on this issue, but we've had no ad hoc committee reports from Mr. Cobble, who I believe is the chair of that ad hoc committee. I'm disappointed again this year in the grant agency review process. 2 years ago, Vinnie Nolan said we had to take the politics out of these decisions, and we haven't. This year, the funding for the Hispanic Center was allocated to the Wheels program and to TBICO. We're using these grants like candy in a candy dish to reward or punish social service agencies, and that's wrong. We ought to fund agencies based on how important the services they provide are to Danbury residents. And I think this year in particular, the AIDS Project of Greater Danbury was done a great disservice. Inadvertently, Mr. Riley told them that their funding request for $14,000 would be funded through the Interfaith AIDS Ministry, and it won't be. Their program was zero budgeted. And the mayor explained at the same council meeting that we couldn't fund any new programs, and we're funding two. We're funding the Boughton Street Y and the Dream Homes Community Center. So the grant agency review process isn't fair and it isn't equitable. And it ends up being the mayor's personal philanthropy put into the city budget, and I don't think that's right. The other area that I looked for in the budget and couldn't find was a wonderful $250 energy tax credit for the elderly. Democrats requested an ad hoc committee to expand tax relief for the elderly in May of 2006. So this is an issue that our caucus really supports. Now, I know the mayor said that this tax credit would apply to households of up to $58,000 in annual income, and that's very generous. So if everyone who is currently in the circuit breaker or the fees program applied for this program, we'd be spending $183,000. And that's much bigger than a breadbasket. And it wasn't in the budget address on March 6th, but it's not in our budget. The tax collector couldn't find it, and the assessor couldn't find it. I'm afraid it's vanished, so I hope that the mayor, in his comments, will clarify on that point. And finally, I'd like to close with kind of a Passover remembrance that I've kind of adapted, because this city has had such a long history of tolerance and inclusion. And it goes like this. First they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for the day laborers, and I did not speak out because I was not a day laborer. Then they came for the Hispanic Center funding, and I didn't speak out because I was not Hispanic. Then they underfunded the school budget by $1 million, and I did not speak out because I do not have any school-age children. And then they took the welfare department apart, and I did not speak out because I am not on welfare. And then they came and told me that this was a good budget, and I said no. Thank you, Your Honor.